Hey all, I just thought I'd pop on today, and I don't actually want to be talking a whole lot about what's going on in the world. We all know this whole coronavirus thing is just sucky, and there's no minimizing or sugarcoating it. It's just what it is, and I think that's my point. So I'm not going to talk about it much, except for we all know what's going on. Everybody be careful and responsible and act like you are not going to cause more problems than you're preventing, right? So that's first rule of everything. And then I really want to talk about, what are the things you can do right now to not just be in this space and in this attitude of getting through this thing, because that's a given. We have to get through it, but how can we really actually make this time worth it? And talking with my clients, there's just been so many who are just lost and freaking out, and then some who are coming from a much more constructive point of view. So my question really is, we've been stopped. The universe stopped us. We've been stopped. So how can we make this time worth it and make it good? And it made me think of the big acronym STOP, as Deepak Chopra put it out years ago. And in his terms, it was S for stop, T for think, O for observe, and P for proceed with caution. And I think that's what we have to do right now. And there's so much distraction happening from social media, everybody freaking out, like all these conflicting messages, all this stuff that's out there that is filtering in and kind of poisoning our mind and poisoning our beings, that it's really important to figure out what it is that I want to focus on right now that actually makes this time worth it. I was listening to a great message by Pastor Stephen Furtick this weekend, and he talked about, how can this be a time of really learning and connecting, and not just getting something to get through, but something to really cherish and have great memories of, which that's a huge challenge. I will be the first one to admit that. And I'm not saying I have this figured out, but I think that's the focus. So when we look at being business owners in these challenging times, it's another level of it, because now it's not just you taking care of yourself, it's you taking care of all your people. And for many, it's been really difficult because you can't operate anymore. You have to do it remotely. Your market right now is not really responding to what you have. You can put it all out there, but if people aren't buying, what are you going to do? So there's all these negative things you can respond to, or you can keep coming back to the core of you and go, okay, so how can I make this worth it? And I want to use the same construct that I always use, which comes to really paying attention first of, right now with the market the way it is. Hey guys, Trisha, Alessandra, so good to see you guys. So looking at, what I'm offering right now, is it relevant to the market? Is it relevant to the times? So for actually a lot of business owners, a lot of leaders can make it that. There is that opportunity to take what you're offering and making it worth it for your clients right now. So it's that new focus that you have to bring to your companies and really step up and go, okay, this is what we do. This is what we can do right now. This might be different from what we generally do, but this is what we can do right now. So getting that focus on the right part of your product that actually works in this market is huge. So some pivoting, some tap dancing, some fine tuning. It might not be what you want to do, but that has to be the first thing. And then once you bring some clarity and focus into that, which also is important when you're working with a team and you're having to keep people on board and engaged, how do you keep them there? Because a lot of them, we have to be remote. We can't be in the same space. Some of my clients have not been able to operate at all, but you still need to keep that team on board. Hey, Donna. So giving people your work, the coming home to the company, could be the distraction to all the distractions. So really more than ever doubling down on, so first thing is, get the product dialed in, and the second thing is the structure. Because a lot of people, if you have employees who are used to showing up at a place of work, for them to just suddenly be working from home could be hell. I mean, they have their kids there, their dogs, their spouses, all that stuff is going on. They're having to deal with the technology, maybe the internet can't quite work. I mean, there's so many challenges that they have to face, and suddenly they have to come up with their own structure. So help people by helping them understand what is expected of them so they can be successful in this crazy time. So what do they need, right? And that's, I think, where a huge downfall happens in regular times, that we think we communicate with our employees, our teams, about what we expect from them, how can they be successful, but really, we just think they know somehow. So getting really clear on the structure, giving them structure, and giving them support with their structure is huge. And then I think it's also a great time to really notice who is on your team, who on your team are the right people to have there. And this is a better time than ever to really pay attention to that and go, who's pulling with us, who's supporting us, who's showing up, being a yes. I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't have challenges. That's just the nature of these times. There's going to be that. So we want to support everybody with the challenges they're having, but are they generally a yes? Are they generally showing up ready to do what needs doing and ready to go? So it's more than ever, it's important to give everybody that safety, that security, that certainty that their efforts make a difference. And when we think about human psychology, certainty is one of those 6 human needs that Tony Robbins talks about. There's lots of schools of psychology who talk about it, but that's a huge thing. Giving people certainty in uncertain times. As a leader, whether you're leading a company or a family or a community, that's a huge piece. So what is the certainty that you can give any of your people so that they can keep showing up and doing a good job for you, or they can keep pulling themselves out of the me thinking, because that's really what's causing the problem right now. Like, everybody knows theoretically how they should behave, right? And then there's but that doesn't apply to me because that's kind of uncomfortable and sucky, and I don't get to do what I want to do, so I'm going to do this other thing that's causing a lot of problems, could be causing a lot of problems for a lot of people. So in a team environment or a community environment, even, I was talking to one of my VIP clients who was having to let go of a lot of people. And it's a really tough thing to do, and how can you help everybody to stay focused on the greater good, or to get focused on the greater good, and shift away from this is, what does that mean about me? And that's human nature. I'm not invalidating that. But the more you can help everybody to get really focused on what is the necessary thing to do so we survive, and not just survive, but thrive as a community, it's a huge piece. So really getting your product dialed in for the market, making sure that you have the right structure to support your team, making sure that you have the right people on board, the right people on your bus right now who can help you get through these tough times. And then also, the biggest thing is, like, how are you showing up throughout this? Because this is, again, goes back to that certainty, goes back to being the right support all your people need right now so they can show up for you and do a good job. And not just for them, but also for yourself. Poor decisions get made when we're distracted. Poor decisions get made when there's not clarity, when there's not a plan. I was talking to somebody the other day who said, well, planning, this is the wrong time for planning. I'm like, no, this is the exact right time for planning, because if you don't have a plan right now, how are you going to get out at the other end still functioning? So it's like, you want to have your long-term plan and make sure your right now plan fits in with that long-term plan. So I would encourage everybody to sit down and take a little bit of that screen time away from the screens and really reflect inward You know, like Trisha said, perfect time to reflect inward and go, you know, how do I have to show up differently? Like, you might want to come to your team meeting feeling, you know, down and feeling hopeless, but that's not how you can show up. That's not how you can be. So what is the message? How do you want to control the message? How do you want to influence how others show up? This is really your role right now. I think it's the role for everybody. So instead of spreading fear and instead of not behaving responsibly, and there's so many ways of not doing that, it's really important right now to just keep asking that question. How do I have to be different? How do I have to show up differently to support the greater good and the better outcome as a whole, as you know, for humanity here. So anyway, just wanted to pop on and talk a little bit about that. So make sure you can be the distraction from the distraction, and it's like really you're being the focus from the distraction. So that's the biggest thing. Like, look at your product. How can you make it relevant to today? You know, what's the problem that you're solving for your clients right now? What do they need from you right now so they can function in these crazy times? Work on giving a structure and being solid so that you can support everybody to do a good job. Make sure you have the right people on your bus and get the wrong people off the bus. Right now, you'll notice more than ever who those wrong people are. And then show up as a leader, whether you want to or not. And I think I want to challenge everybody to do that. There's plenty of times when I just want to curl up in a ball and do nothing. And I don't think we get to do that right now. Well, all right, we get to do that a little bit, but there's a limit to it. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time.